Are you real? Seriously, there is a very special. One of my themes that I was going to talk about today was what do you do when someone hangs up on the phone on you? Did you guys see the video I posted?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch that one yet. But
Yeah. You know, sometimes people, I think when we act too salesy, they are going to treat us like a salesman.
Yeah.
You know? And how do we, you know, I don't personally feel very good when people treat me like garbage. I don't know about you guys. And I used to take it when I was a kid. I was younger and a little more self-esteem issues and stuff like that. And people would dump on me, whatever sales position I was in. I took it badly. I didn't want to make more sales calls or anything like that.
Yeah. It's a demotivator, that's for sure.
It's a big demotivator. And so how do we handle that? When someone talks to you nasty or something like that on the phone, how do you, give us an example of what it sounds like.
Why the hell are you calling me?
There we go.
I didn't ask you to call me.
Are you sure? What your name, sir?
George.
Yeah, George. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, correct.
You sound like you're George, are you having a bad day, or are you mad at me for something I did wrong? Tell me what it is, and I'll apologize.
No, I just don't like unsolicited phone calls.
No, but I got your number here, and this is Claude Diamond.
I don't know you.
Yes, you do.
I don't know you, Claude.
George, do you talk to everybody like this? Did I make a pass at your wife at last year's Christmas party?
I don't know you, Claude.
Yeah, I think you do. Because I never make cold calls. See, off the role play, I can last as long as he can last. I'll never give up. I'll just stay on. I'll be, till somebody will give up eventually.
You're the tar baby.
Yeah, I'll just stick around, I mean, and sooner or later, this was an extreme role play. Let's say it like that. Most people will say, God, I don't remember calling, or how did I get hold of you? I said, and then I'll give them some excuses. I'll give them a way out. I'll say, well, maybe you're on my webpage. Maybe you filled out a form on my blog. Maybe you sent us a postage-free card or called our 800 number. Something like that. I'll do anything just to open a door. And I'll tell you, about 55% of the time they'll say, I don't remember, but I'm sorry. What is this about? And they'll change their tone. They'll back off. I think most people, if they perceive you're a salesperson, they're going to act in a bad way.
Right.
They're going to act in a rude way. If they perceive that you're getting back to them, and they're going, who is this person? Did I call him? Is this my doctor, my lawyer? Is this somebody from work? Who is this, And all of a sudden the standards change on that. I had one guy, the example I talked about in the video. Hey, Jackson, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, Claude, you're coming in loud and clear. Thank you.
Can you do me a favor and just hit your mute button, though? I'm getting a little feedback from your side.
Sure.
You know what? One of the things, though, Claude, that you talked about, yes, though, another thing is I think maintaining that control. That's the other thing. Notice how you never let him get the upper side of you. And that was one of the things there that you did it finesse, but you still maintained that control on the call.
Why do I do that? Is that strictly ego? What is it? What's the reason I do it? Is it just to beef up my own ego, or what's the reason?
You're actually playing the adult to his child.
That's right. That's right. And when we say the adult, I'm not going down to his level. It is ego, by the way. I don't like people. I found a long time ago, if too many people dump on me, reject me, treat me badly, do you think I can pick these telephones up?
No.
I'm really honest about that. I think a lot of people, when they have a bad day, they would rather scrub a toilet than make another sales call. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to talk about this in the seminars, the gurus and stuff. But I think if you don't have a sales system, it doesn't matter whether you do my system or someone else's system in real estate or anything. You've got to be so confident on the phone. Feel maybe a little bit full of yourself, a little self-centered, not to the point where you're obnoxious or arrogant. But if you don't feel, I play a little game in my mind like I'm always returning a call. That's how I get past any anxiety. And this business is pretty simple. You've heard me say it. I take it as a KISS method. If I can make 5 phone calls a day, talk to 5 people a day, I'm making money, guys. I'm running contracts and notes. I'm talking to people. I'm doing deals. But if I don't make those 5 phone calls a day,
no deals.
No deals. I train a lot of people in the insurance industry and in financial planning and stuff. And those guys have to set at least, to make the kind of income they want, they got to set at least on the minimum 1 appointment a day. The great insurance and financial planning guys set at least 2 to 3 a day and more. In order to set those appointments, they have to do a lot of cold calls. Some warm calls, but the company never gives you enough warm leads. So you got to make cold calls. You got to develop your own system. And the really great guys just have no call reluctance at all. They just make calls. They engage people in that conversation, ask questions. A lot of them, the really great ones, they have an intuitive system. Do you ever meet an intuitive salesperson? I mean, somebody who's just a natural born salesman. I mean, those guys can make money. They can sell ice cubes to Eskimos. They can sell anything. Guys like me had to learn it because I was getting beat up and kicked around all day long. And when you get that when you feel that way, how do you make appointments? How do you call on properties? How do you do the deal? I think it is a lot about ego and feeling good about ourselves. So, when you get a guy on the phone, back to Henry's thing there, I've got to get a guy with enough pain and just keep hitting him with him and doing a lot of redirection. I had a guy yesterday, his father was the head of the psychology department over in Duke or something like that. And he said, Claude, what you practice is, I'm reading from my notes here, counterintuitiveness. Not what people expect, what they don't expect. I think that's what it means. And I think sometimes we throw them off balance and maybe engage them in the conversation.
Hey, Claude, I was gonna tell you about a call I had last week.
Go ahead.
Not last week. It was this week, 3 or 4 days ago. And it was a guy that it was a for sale by owner call. And I just called him up, and it was unsolicited. And he was real standoffish at first. Why are you calling? And
I don't know.
And basically, I didn't really get a lot of information. And then at the last, just before, I said, I used your famous, well, before I get off the phone, can I ask you one last question? And he said, yeah, sure. And I said, well, what are you going to do if you don't sell your house?
Great question.
And then he gave me all the details. I mean, he was very unforthcoming before that. And I asked that question, and it was kind of like instant turnaround in his demeanor on the call. And I talked to him for 20 minutes. Now, as it turns out, he sold his last 2 houses by owner, and this one's free and clear. He's got some health issues, but both he and his wife, and they think their house is too big. They want to move somewhere else. But, he thinks he can, do it on his own by owner. And I had called him on day 3 after he just had it listed. So he didn't really have enough pain to, for me to do anything with him. But the thing that was really eye-opening for me was that question that I asked him, hey, can I ask you one last question before I get off the phone? And he opened right up at that point.
Opened all the doors.
Yep.
My question is, when you first got on the phone, though, he was a little nasty, it sounds like.
Well, I wouldn't say nasty. He was never nasty. He was just not forthcoming. He wasn't willing to give information.
Why do you think he was like that?
I think because it was an unsolicited phone call, and he perceived me as a salesman.
Ah, okay. And you diffused that situation really quickly, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what's the rule we can glean from that?
Don't be a salesman.
Yeah. I hate to say it because I love being a salesman. It's always put food on my table. But I think people are so inundated by salespeople all day long. I mean, on the computer, on their email, on the cell phone, on the TV, everywhere. They're so inundated. Even my God, even the things we're paying for now. What is it? I'm trying to think. Sirius and XM or whatever it's called in the car.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I'm paying whatever we're paying to have that in the car. How come I got to listen to the commercials?
That's kind of like going to the movie and seeing commercials.
Oh, yeah, that great point. What
Yeah.
have you guys gone to a regular movie theater lately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
you get there, you want to be on time, see the beginning of the movie. Movie starts at 8 o'clock. When does the real movie start, though, if you get there at 8 o'clock?
About 8:20.
8:20. You got to listen to 20 minutes of garbage commercials.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Ridiculous.
You
Smoke
know.
and mirrors. You don't even know what's happening.
Oh, yeah. So I got to sit through all these crummy commercials. I thought I paid for a movie to see a movie. I don't mind advanced features, but come on.
Yeah.
So I think they're inundated with commercials and salespeople. I think that we're getting a lot of phone calls on the cell phone now, unsolicited. We all know about email and spam and stuff like that. And I think people just are shut. The minute they sense it's a salesperson, a tactless salesperson, they just shut them off.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if we act like that, why should we expect anything different? So one of my things is always act like I'm getting back to someone, returning a call. Always take the high road as a professional or a consultant. I always figured they wouldn't treat their priest, their rabbi, their state senator, their doctor, their lawyer, their dentist, their accountant. They wouldn't treat anyone who's in their circle of influence or somebody. Or if you called up and said, hi, George, I'm a friend of Ted, and he asked me to give you a call, and Ted's someone you know, I think they're going to treat me differently if there's some kind of connection. And that's the way I'm going to, and that's the way I always approach people, and I think I turn down the heat a lot on this. And, let's face it, if we're talking about real estate, they're advertising for us to call, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, hey, call me. I'm trying to sell my home. And so I'm just going to approach it like that. Hey, Jeff, Claude. Hey, Jeff, Claude Diamond here. I got your number in front of me. I think you don't have a home for sale, do you?
I have one for rent.
Oh, that's it. How can I help you? It's not available anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
I took one application, but I don't think I'm going to go with them.
Oh, okay. You mind if I, I'm looking for an investment property in that area. You mind if I ask you a few questions and see how we can do business today?
What do you mean by business?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by business? Business?
That's when people in a unilateral contract, that's usually when I give you money and you give me a property or something like that. But if you don't want to do that, you can say no to me. I'll get off the phone.
No, I was just trying to figure out. I thought you were going to rent the house, so I was just confused. Maybe.
No, did I say I'm not going to rent the house? I'm all confused here, Jeff. I just was interested in your property, and you're all over me now. What did I do wrong?
No, yeah, I just didn't understand. I thought you were calling. You wanted to.
Okay,
be a
I'll speak
renter.
slower. It's this New York. It's not your fault. It's mine. It's this stupid New York City accent of mine. You know what I'm saying here? See,
I do.
I do this. I really do.
I got that the other day. What do you mean business?
Oh, really? So how did you respond?
How did I respond? Probably not very well, quite frankly. But I just said, I said, yeah, I just want to see if I can help you out with your property. I think is what I said.
Oh, okay.
And
see, I wouldn't say help you out at that point.
Yeah, it was probably early because he goes, that led down a whole different path and
the defense. What do they call it in Star Trek? Raise the defense shields or whatever.
Shields up.
Shields up, And
Yeah.
the minute they get a sense that you're coming from that traditional, and you got to figure maybe they're getting a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, I think he was.
From a lot of other people and stuff like that.
Yep.
my rule is if the competition's doing it, stop. Just always be different.
Yeah.
Did you hear in that role play, by the way, did you hear any negative redirections?
Yeah.
Well, I heard you say, "Why are you all over me?"
Right.
That was kind of one, but earlier, your property isn't available still, is it?
Right.
Oh, it is. Okay. I'm trying to get him to say yes. I'm going negative, make him go positive. I did another one there, and, my famous one is, you can say, it's okay to say no to me here. Oh God, that one, they don't know how to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, I have used, before I get going, it doesn't sound like it's going to work out, but before I get going, and that one, I don't know what kind of crazy Jedi mind trick that has, but it seems to consistently, like, oh, well, okay, because they know you're not selling them anymore. You're done. It's like,
yeah,
you can hear them on the phone.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, this guy's not trying to sell me something, and then I had George's. The house wasn't any good because it was way upside down, and I wasn't going to touch it. But I took it as a lesson. But it was interesting that it really changed the whole dynamic of the conversation.
Yeah, my type of sales is, most sales. If you guys ever read other sales books, you guys talk for a minute. Let me pull something out of the bathroom, of the library. Excuse me.
The bathroom.
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah.
what I was going to tell you is, depending upon when you say it was upside down, depending upon what the facts are, if they have a mortgage that's about what the market value of the house is, but it's got a low enough monthly payment that you could make, a little bit of money on a sandwich lease option, you could do that, sandwich lease option it. Or if it's got enough of if the payment is low enough to support the market rent, then you could always just assign it for. Basically, this is a Ron LeGrand ACTS deal, ACTS. That stands for Assignment of Contract Terms or System or something like that. Anyway, effectively, what you're doing is you're going to you're going to get the contract from the seller where the strike price on the option is the value of the mortgage at the time of the exercise.
Like the payoff?
Right? So for the mortgage payoff, right. If you do that, basically you're getting the benefit of all the principal pay down. And if you then assign that for a long term. Now you can't do it for a 3-year term. It needs to be more or less for the remainder of the mortgage period. So if they've got a 30-year fixed mortgage and they're 5 years into it, you need to make that option period 25 years.
Wow.
But basically what it allows you to do, because in real estate, time clears all problems, generally. If you got enough time, you can wait while the mortgage pays down. Even if there's never any appreciation, you can wait while the mortgage pays down until they're not underwater anymore. As long as whoever's going to be living in the house is getting the value of the principal pay down. That's coming to them. So then what you can do then is you can assign that contract to a tenant buyer and just leave. So you're going to get the assignment fee, and then they get the benefit of being in the deal with the principal pay down.
Well, and I've struggled in that transition. Say you get that person right up to there, where we go through the conversation, I get the payments, I get to this, that, all the information, right? And now it's time. They want to know more. So I've at least piqued enough interest. So they're telling me, well, I don't understand how this is going to work. So what's going to happen? You're going to be in the middle, and blah 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 blah. And so that's where I have fallen apart, to be quite frankly.
That's okay. That's what this is for. This is good.
So I need to master kind of that transition right there, where it's getting from. I think so many people here too, and especially in the West Coast where the houses are more expensive. They're worried that they are upside down. They've got larger payments, and they're worried about every Joe, Dick, and Harry trying to scam them. You know, so it's like this. Are you some kind of scam, or this sounds ridiculous, or it's
okay.
Like.
Now you see that why are they doing that? You've got to ask your. See, I use the word empathy a lot. You've got to put yourself in there. Not feel sorry for them, but what are they feeling right now? Why did he say that? This is probably a real nice guy you were talking to. Kisses his children and says prayers with them. I mean, comes home. He's probably a real nice guy. But when
he was fine on the phone.
Yeah, but when he gets to the point where he perceives you as being too salesy or maybe trying to take advantage of him, what does he do?
He gets defensive.
Okay.
Instantly.
So what's the rule here? How should you
give him a stroke?
Well, you can strokes are good. Strokes are one of the things we do that gets them up the staircase, gets them maybe respecting us or liking us a little bit. I'm not big on rapport and bonding, as you know, but I do work towards trust. And sometimes you got to give strokes to set the tone of the meeting and everything. But you got to ask yourself, whose fault is it when he starts acting defensive and he starts attacking you? And when they say the word scam or something to me, because that happens to me too, and if it's uncalled for, I didn't do anything wrong. I will just jump all over him and say, sir, I think that was uncalled for. For what reason would you insult me like that? Should I just get off the phone here? I'm trying to do business with you. Do you talk to everybody like this?
Oh, wow.
I just pound him because you're never going to do a deal with a guy who doesn't respect you or trust you. So right. So you might as well get the satisfaction of firing the prospect. You can call him back. Listen, you can have a bad phone call and then call him back a couple later. Hi, say hello.
Hello.
Mr. Cook, Claude Diamond. We spoke early this morning, and I got off the phone kind of abruptly, and I've been feeling bad. I don't know about you, but I felt really bad about it all day long, and just wanted to see if there was anything we could mend the fence here and maybe find a way to do business.
Well, I wasn't trying to irritate you, but
man, did you raise my blood pressure? I had to get the bottle of tequila out of the freezer.
Well, I got to protect my interests too, right, Claude?
What? I agree.
I've never heard of anything like this.
And you know what?
People.
And if I was in your position, I'd probably feel the same way. I just wouldn't talk to people the way you talked with me. I thought it was a little uncalled for. But that's water under the bridge, right?
Right.
What I basically do, and then you go back into it again, try to raise his pain and so forth. And see, the guy the difference between a gut salesman and Tommy Hopkins and all the other guys, nothing wrong with their books and materials and stuff. I think it's just old-fashioned, and I think the prospect is well aware of these old-fashioned methods. And that's why they treat us sometimes. They react this way. They attack. They're vicious. They hang up and stuff. So we have to go in an unconventional way. Guts is about being unconventional, and it's about us first on there. So we have to be, what you were talking about. I always when I get into a dialogue after a minute or so, I get into the agenda step. I want to say, hey, you know what, Mr. Cook, can I ask you a few questions? And if we can do business, great. And if not, it's okay. We're still friends, and I'll get off the phone. Is that all right with you, sir?
Sure.
And then you ask me a few questions. Boom. That's how I keep control, and I get that upfront agreement.
Right. Oh, how do I mute? I'm going to mute myself here.
Someone doing their printer there? Oh, you're looking. You guys looking at? You're looking at my breakfast lunch yet?
It's all that high tech crap these days.
There you go.
This, and she's printing right next to me.
There's probably a fire somewhere, but you stay here.
No, I'm busy. You'll be fine.
Hey, did they find that we got an escaped convict running around killing people in San Diego County?
Well, he's in Big Bear, so
okay, good.
I found him. I guess his truck up there in Big Bear.
Did they find him yet?
Cop or something?
No.
Is that the former cop?
Yeah, he's a cop.
Did you see that the LAPD shot two other people that were in two different people that were in trucks that looked like him, that looked like his?
Well, I heard they shot 2 ladies. They had the rights out delivering newspapers, and these guys are going out just firing without even investigating.
You know, who was that cop? Who was the cop in L.A. Years ago during the O.J. days and everything? Darrell Gates or something, or?
No, he was the chief.
The chief.
You're probably thinking of Mark Furman.
Yeah, well, Mark Furman was the detective, but the chief of L.A. He ran a very tough police force, and I think a lot of those guys are still left. Who goes and just shoots people without identifying them first? I mean, that's pretty crazy. They were going to throw. They were probably going to throw the newspaper out by the garage door, and they thought they were reaching for something.
Well, I guess the problem or the extenuating a circumstance is the guy they're looking for is a cop killer. Former cop that he is, he shot 2 people, and one killed one of them was the cop.
Yeah, I was just wondering because
the cops don't like that.
Are you near the Bernardinos?
So good with that.
Henry, are you near the Bernardinos, near Big Bear there?
No, I'm up in the Central Valley. I'm more Central California.
Oh, okay.
Yosemite.
I was just wondering if they caught him yet.
Yeah, no. Hey, Claude, what is that sauce you have in the middle of your dish or your vegetable dish?
Yeah, tell me. Oh, the sauce is my favorite sauce in the world, sriracha. Sriracha.
Yeah.
It's in all the Asian restaurants. I'm getting that feedback again. Did somebody do something different?
No, it's you. It's you. You're the one that's causing the echo.
Sounds like we're breaking up. It's not me. It's you. It's
now you're okay. You sound fine.
Maybe I'll move back. Okay.
That's
it's
one with the rooster on it.
Yeah.
We call it cock sauce.
Yeah, it's the plastic bottle with the green top. It's on all the Asian restaurants. And when you're trying to eat a Brussels sprout raw,
you better put something spicy.
You got to put something spicy on it there. Actually, I sent you guys a picture of my breakfast and lunch. I've been reading. Show you some of the things I'm reading here real quick. Great book on. Did you guys ever see from what is it, from Forks Over Knives, that movie?
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal. Yeah, you know about it because it's about one of the books is from his son, the fire chief.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he wrote a great book about it, and I'll tell you what.
That picture you sent looks like somebody's feeding a chimpanzee.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see that. I didn't look at that.
It's all relative. It's all relative.
It looks like what the plate they make at the zoo.
Yeah. Here's the other. That's from Dr. Esseltyn. I've been reading that. It's kind of heavy-duty medical reading, but very, very interesting.
What is it called? Prevent what?
Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. But watch the Forks Over Knives. It's on Netflix.
If you guys start getting into this, it's gonna make you feel crazy about.
I'll tell you something. It's a different way of eating. But I'll tell you what, I'm running without the aches and pains. I've been experimenting with it for a couple of weeks now, and the aches and pains have gone away that I have sometimes, and the weight's been going down and I'm eating like a pig here. So I don't know why. It's kind of an interesting experiment I'm doing on myself. The other book is from his partner. It's called The China Study.
I read that one.
Yeah, it's fascinating. They did a massive study. Do you know about it, Jeff? Can you tell the guys about it?
Yeah, I don't remember all the exact details, but it was, what was it, 300,000 Asian small villages, and they studied. There was one case of diabetes and 2 cases of heart disease and 4 cases of cancer and hundreds of thousands of Asian people that grow their own food, basically.
Yeah.
Eat twigs and berries, that kind of thing.
They eat a lot of in these cultures.
Rice.
The Tarahumara Indians in Mexico, this little tribe, the Okinawans before they discovered KFC and stuff.
All fertilized with night soil.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that stuff, it's just kind of interesting about why some societies have so much disease and stuff, and others have nothing. They don't even have heart disease. They don't even have cancer or diabetes. It's really interesting. Interesting.
Let's get back to Jeff's question about how to do the transition and get them towards the close.
Okay.
I'm interested in that.
Oh, what was I asking you about that? That was, after what we were talking about as far as, we got, I got all the information. I commonly am pretty good at getting mortgages, payments, all that's no big deal, and usually I have them on my side. And then it's time for me to transition from I have the information period, and I have, let's say, what I would consider 1 to 3 various offers. I've been using Claude's, I can buy it as cash or terms. What would make sense for you is usually what I'll ask. But they'll religiously say, well, I would love to have cash, right? So usually where it gets tricky is where you come into the terms part. And is that Mr. Joe McCall?
Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
He must have found a Starbucks with free Wi-Fi. Hey, Joe, we have a VIP here joining us today.
So I hope.
I don't know if he can hear us. There he goes. Your video's loading.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It's just that all we see is a static picture so far.
Join the party. We have Oregon, California, North Carolina, Southern California, and now Missouri.
St. Louis.
There we go. Order me a latte, Joe. Nope, it's not working for him. Well, we'll see what happens. It's still loading and loading. There he is.
Hey.
Live from Starbucks.
Yes, I am at Starbucks. I hope you can hear me okay.
That is the McCall satellite office, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It looks nice and sunny there.
It's overcast. It looks like it's going to rain.
Yeah. Joe, do you know these fellas? I think you know George and Henry.
I saw Henry, but I don't. I recognize the gentleman with the green shirt.
And
George,
but I don't know if I know him.
That's George Stevenson in North Carolina, and there is Jeff Cook. Jeff is a fireman in Oregon. See, notice how I say Oregon correctly.
Oregon.
I still can't say. How do you guys say?
Right.
How do you guys say Missouri? I'm a New York City person. We say it's at Missouri or something like that.
Missouri. But Claude, hey, I'm going to change my internet connection.
Okay.
I'm going to change my internet connection here. Hold on.
I think that means he's driving to a Jack in the Box. On there, Jeff, finish up your question there, Jeff. We kind of interrupted you there.
No, that's all right. So you get to the terms, and then let's say you offer 3 various types of terms offered type thing, right? Where you'll say, well, in my mind, I can do an assignment or a cooperative or a flip type deal, which is kind of what you were talking about, right, George?
Yeah.
And that's. So I got a little bit of a hang up with that here in Oregon because of all the laws, and you got to use an agent or be an agent. So I've kind of struggled with that, but that's something I need to really figure out because it's everywhere here. I mean, I could do them all day. But then that transition right there, which is okay, how do I explain that? Because they say, well, you're going to be, so what you want to do is be in the middle, huh? And then when that happens, it spins into a different. So I need to role play with Claude on that, or kind of master that through my studies here in practice.
So it sounds to me like the real question is in Oregon, which has pretty strict rules. How do you keep from acting as an agent without a license or get into trouble? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
The way. I mean, unless you're doing. Go ahead. You wanted to add some more?
Well, I know. I've talked to a couple agents that do them in the Portland area, and they've gotten their license. That's what they've decided to do is just quit messing around with it. They go get their license. They find a one-horse broker, and they just pay them per deal. So that's something I'm looking into, and I know, Joe, you recommended that. quite a bit. So in the meantime, I've thought of figuring out, okay, to find a broker that is willing to do that for me, or maybe represent me with the buyers. I don't know, and then pay them a fee.
There's. I wrote down 3 quick solutions here.
Okay, let me write them down.
Really, the one, if you want to represent people, and you're going to do such a volume of deals that you think you're going to draw attention to yourself, then it makes sense to become an agent. There's nothing wrong with it. You can do your own private deals. You can represent other people as an agent and do lease purchase deals. I have people doing that. They're making a lot of money, by the way, real estate agents that do lease purchasing, because there's no competition. Very few agents specialize in lease purchasing, and it's great for them. So that's one way to do it, and it's not the hardest thing in the world to get a license. It's kind of subjective. I would say half the people I work with have a license. The other half do not have a license. It's personal. It's subjective. If you're doing maybe a 1, 2, 3 deals a year, then I would say do a contract where you're strictly the principal in the deal. You're representing yourself. You don't allude to any kind of representation of the other parties. It's strictly your own deal. And in America, this land of free enterprise, you're still allowed to buy, sell, and rent real estate or your own car or anything, long as you don't cross the line. So that's okay. The other thing, and I think you suggested it, is you work with an agent. So you kind of partner with an agent who steps in, and then you have that blessing of the state of Oregon working with that agent. A final thing, which might solve your problem, and I do a lot of this, is rather than do the deal, I consult on the deal. Joe, are you at your ballet class?
I'm sorry. The speaker is.
I feel like pirouetting here or doing my jetés.
I will mute my microphone.
No, it's okay. Joe, I want to get your take on this, because I know this is a topic that comes up a lot to you.
Yeah, it does. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get asked this a lot, and I actually have several students who have gotten letters from the Real Estate Commission in their local states. And I always recommend either get your license, number 1, or number 2, work with a realtor to sell your homes, or number 3, stay in the middle of the deal. Now, for me, you need to outsource the advertising and selling of your homes anyway. So why not outsource it to a realtor? I'm doing a new challenge, a virtual wholesaling challenge in Southern California right now, and I put a post in Craigslist. I said, I'm an investor and I'm looking for a realtor to help me lease my properties, and I'll pay 25% of 1 month's rent. And I got flooded with applications.
Solution.
Yeah.
Good solution. Practical.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
25% of 1 month's rent. I mean, I was surprised how many people. See, there's a lot of realtors out there that's all they do is they find tenants. And that's not a lot of money, but they're doing 10 or 20 of them a month. And so I found a lady that's working for me right now. I actually have 2 realtors, and they already have a list of people looking for homes, and they're willing to. They can go out and take pictures of the homes, stick signs in the yard, put signs in the neighborhood, show the properties, take the calls, take the applications, do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
For 25% of the option fee?
No, 25% of 1 month's rent.
Oh, wow. That's even cheaper.
It's all. I guess it's all negotiable, right? The bottom line is, if you have that someone who's licensed in there, you have the blessing of the state in the Department of Real Estate and everything else. You avoid all the issues that you're concerned about, Jeff.
Yeah, I like that.
You know.
So.
My only problem is I hate sharing.
I know you do. I briefly touched on that. You said, I don't like sharing, but 25% of 1 month's rent is very different than 25% of a $5,000 option fee.
Boy, is that a hard-up bastard, though.
Yeah, I know, that is. But, I'm sure they're out here too, because, there's a very specific pockets of houses that are moving. Other than that, nothing's moving. So...
let me throw. Do any of you guys use the consulting aspect, where I might go to someone who has a house for sale, and they love the lease purchase solution, but there's not necessarily room for me to do the deal, or they don't want me in the deal. They say, "Oh, I don't want you to put strangers in my home," and you know the objections they usually give. I don't want. What if someone trashes my home? How do I know I can trust you? And all those other things. And I'll just go to them and I'll say, "Tell you what, you had a realtor you were willing to pay 6%, and that didn't work. Suppose I just consulted with you for a flat fee up front, or we can work out a payment plan or something, and I will basically give you a marketing plan. I will advise you on the phone. I will not represent you in a fiduciary capacity. I will just instruct you, teach you, consult with you. That's perfectly legal, and I get a contract to back that up." And surprisingly, no one ever asks that question. And every month, I get people just like that, because I'll go to them and say, "Listen, why don't you do a lease purchase? I don't know how to do it." "Hey, I do. I have the materials, I have the contracts, and I'd be glad to advise you until your personal satisfaction the house is moved. And I will charge you a flat fee." And then we work it out, and boom. It's a lot less than they were willing to pay the realtor. I do the contract, and I made money up front whether or not they do the deal. I get paid for my time, knowledge. What's your thoughts on that, guys?
Hey, Claude, that's a brilliant idea, and I've been doing more and more of that myself. I'm making less money per deal, but it's a lot less work. And if you look at your dollar per hour, you make more money doing that. And I really, really like that idea a lot.
You have no overhead to speak of. You don't have advertising costs. The homeowner has to do that. You don't have to run around showing the property and all that other. If you think about it, your expenses are greatly reduced. All you're paid for is your time on the phone.
Hey, Joe, what do you typically charge those people, those clients?
That's a great question.
Well, 1 month's rent up front.
That's cheap.
Now, sometimes if they kick back and say, "Well, no, I might accept at least half a month's rent up front and give a contract to get the rest when a tenant buyer is placed." But I typically try to get 1 month's rent up front, and I'm willing to negotiate.
You're talking about getting it in advance before you do the consulting. Okay, and then if you have to, you can do a payment plan.
Right, or give them a note. Make it $100 a month. You can be real creative, whatever works.
Yeah. Let me add one other thing to this. For you guys who are licensees, who are authorized distributors of my materials, a lot of times I'll get people call me and say, "Well, gee, I think I can do this myself." And I'll say, "Do you have the contracts? Do you understand the different strategies and stuff?" And they'll say, "No, where do I get that?" And guess what I do?
Sell them a package.
I sell them a package. And you guys are licensees. You make if they're, you sell them a package, you just made yourself a little bit of money. We'll drop ship it or send it electronically for you guys. You know that. And so I think a lot of times we don't bring up these alternative. So I like multiple choice when I talk to people. I'll say, "Sir, we can do 3-4 ways we can work together, or we can, we'll get off the phone and we can do it this way where you discount the price and I'll do a contract with you. We can do it this way where you give me terms so I can remarket the home under my name, under a contract. We can do a cooperative joint venture. I can consult with you and teach you how to do it, or I can just sell you a package." And sometimes, you go through that with them until you find their price point that they're comfortable with. And for you guys who are licensees, take advantage of that, because I really believe in multiple streams of cash flow. Whether it's a product sale, whether it's an assignment, whether, like what Joe said, get a month or two rent. I love all of that. It all adds at the end of the month. It all adds up, guys. Not every deal is going to be a home run where you're going to make a ton of money. But at the end of the month, it's amazing how all these little drips and drabs turn into a tremendous amount of money. What are your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah, I agree.
I was just going to say, I think consulting works really well when you get a lead on a property in an area that you're not really interested in. It could be an area where the houses are really expensive or the houses are really cheap. I just had one yesterday. It was in an area that the seller wanted 40, but homes were selling for 20,000 in the area. And it's just not a good area to do a lease purchase in. And so I told the seller that I gave him options. I said, number one, you can pay me to buy your house, or number two, I'll teach you how to sell it with lease purchasing or owner financing as a consultant. And he was really interested in option two, the consulting part of it, and he said he'd get back to me. But it was, I was on and off the phone in just a few minutes, and I was still able to help him.
Yep.
Nice. I think, Claude, that the guy I sent you that was going to follow up with, and I'll follow up with him next week, but he was a consulting fee, and I think, I've hashed that through in my mind 20,000 times. I've written down things. How could I have done it different? Fortunately, I recorded that call with your advice, so I have it, and I can regurgitate it. I think one of the biggest things was I should have gone more with terms on him, meaning either what Joe said or multiple ways, and offered that rather than a flat cost. I told him $3,000. Well, instantly that changed the whole dynamic of that situation. $3,000, when I should have said, I could have said, how about you give me 1 month's rent and a quarter of the options fee, or whatever, and I think that would have been created a different outcome for me. So, but I like the multiple. The way you present it is much different, like Joe's doing. It's just a different.
You got to read the person. That's why we ask a lot of questions with finesse. We want to read the person. How great is their level of need, their pain? I mean, are they desperate? Are they hysterical? Are they, oh my God, I can't afford this house anymore. My wife can't sleep at night, and they're this high up, and you've qualified them for their need is high. They have the money to satisfy the need. They're looking for a solution. That's an opportunity for you to make yourself some money in that situation. If they have a limited budget or something, you offer something a little bit lower that does meet with their budget, or offer financing. I wanted to say one thing, a comment about what Joe said earlier before I forget. The great thing about consulting is that there's no geographic limitations. Okay? If I'm in California, I can talk to a guy in Oregon or Florida and get paid for my time, knowledge, and energy. I may not want to do the deal and get on the airplane and fly out. Okay, it's got to be a really superb deal with a lot of commitment and things like that to do that. But a consulting fee you can do on the phone or Skype or whatever, and you're not limited geographically at all. Whereas the deals, most of us like to do deals in our backyard because we know the territory, we know what the rents and the prices are, and that's fine. But sometimes when you're doing your marketing on the internet, I don't know about you guys, I get phone calls from different countries sometimes. Mm-hmm. So this is a way to take advantage of it. When I'm talking to people on properties, I keep it very simple, and sometimes I just tell them. I need either Mr. Seller, I need either price or terms, and we can do business today. If you want to give me a great price, I can do that. Maybe we can do a cash deal, or I have somebody who will be willing to buy your house for cash if the price is attractive enough. If you're not comfortable with that, I need terms. Can you hold the mortgage? Is it free and clear? Can we do a wraparound? Can we do subject to? Can we do a lease purchase here? Can I have terms? Can you subsidize the rent? Your mortgage payment is $1,800, but you live in a $1,000 a month neighborhood, which means that I need your house for no more than $700 a month so I can make money on it. You may not be comfortable with any of these choices. What are your thoughts, sir? And then turn it around on them. So I give them the price or terms. And if neither of those two work, then I go to my more educational resources. I'll go to consulting. I'll go to a product sale. Okay? Because you get a lot of people, they're either they're in denial, they're not reasonable on their price or terms, that's why they can't sell it. And that's okay, as long as you find out real fast and up front. And then you take that information. You guys know I'm a big fan of Evernote. Put all my notes with the guy's name, phone number, and the conversation in Evernote. And then call them back in 30 days. Sometimes they change their mind, too. A lot of fun. I got to talk. I still believe that we need to talk to at least 5 people a day. What do you say on that, Joe?
Five people a day is the minimum. Yeah, for sure. And the more you talk to sellers, the better you're going to get at it. And definitely use that little timer that Claude talks about. Five a day is not that much, and you'll just get better and better. And if you record your calls, listen to yourself talk. For me, it also helps to have a list of questions. Claude has a bunch of really, really good questions in the guts training, and I've taken a lot of them and just written them down. It's not a script, but it's just a way to remind me, to ask questions, and it helps me remember which questions to ask. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Yes.
I buy those timers by the case, by the way.
You got a couple timers there.
Oh yeah. Don't leave home without one.
But you guys, and I know, Joe, you've had a good amount of experience with this, but the conversation with the realtor to get them on board in multiple ways, whether you want them to sell your house or you want to sell them a consulting. I've had a couple where I had them on the phone talking about a house. They weren't interested, and I could tell by the end of the conversation they were more and more and more interested about what I'm talking about. But again, that's where I really need work, is that transition to explain it. And when I tried to explain it, I don't know if I went too deep too fast, but they're like, no, that sounds completely, or I just did a poor job. But does that make sense? What's a good way to transition that to somebody who's totally clueless? They barely even heard about it, and they were a realtor.
What I've found when I'm talking to a realtor, the less I say, the better.
I love to say that again. That was brilliant.
The less I say, the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they say, when I'm explaining lease purchase, I just keep it in like maybe one sentence. I say, look, I'm an investor, Mr. Realtor, and I am looking for homes that I can lease for a year or two and then buy. I just leave it at that.
Yeah, because what happens when you start educating them for free?
Well, it makes you sound like you're trying to sell something to them.
You're on the phone for an hour, too.
Yeah.
Free consulting.
Yeah.
That's not in Claude's playbook.
No.
Right.
But
No.
I'll also say things like, if you ever have a seller that tells you, hey, if you don't sell this house, I'm going to have to rent it. Well, then call me, because I can maybe work out a deal with you and still get you your commission if we structure it as a lease purchase. So when I'm talking to a realtor, I'm always approaching it as I'm a buyer and I'm looking for investment properties.
Mm-hmm.
And, what I've also started doing recently in my Southern California virtual wholesaling challenge is I'm calling realtors of pending listings. And I'm calling them up saying, hey, if this deal falls through escrow, call me, let me know. I'd like to make an offer on it. And I'll let you represent me, so you'll get both sides of the commission. And the feedback's been incredible. Now, these are only for properties that need work. They're fixer-uppers. And they're properties that are pending. They're under contract. And I don't know what are going to fall through escrow. So I want them to call me when that happens, so I can make an offer on it. And if that realtor knows they're going to get both sides of the commission, then I'm going to be the first one that they call. And I just started doing that last week, and the reception from the realtors has been really, really good. And the last 2 realtors I've talked to have